of sharing. 旅人ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to ASEAN. You're with Grace at ASEAN Dailies. We deliver news from Southeast Asia. So let's stay in Malaysia. So apparently Malaysian Airlines Berhad ushers in the new start. So MH has had a lot of incidents before, and then they are in the start of its new company. And Malaysia Airlines Berhad, also called MAB, with a meet and greet session with the passengers, which was just a few days ago. And then this new national carrier chief executive officer Christopher Muller and also senior management held a special walkabout at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport to greet its passengers. So the team even handed out the teddy bears to passengers, while one lucky passenger on a flight MH149 bound for Melbourne won a pair of business class tickets as well. So Muller also sent off sent off to one of the MAB's first domestic flight as well. And then, meanwhile, the new airline said it recorded about an 89.9 on-time performance on its first flight operational day. And it's very important for MAS or now even MAB to revamp the whole image for sure. So, according to the Christoph, he said, we are very excited to welcome and the start of a new company, and that we have been working very hard for the past months to ensure the smooth and successful transition, and that they would like to thank our customers and airline partners for their continued support during this period. So this is also, like I mentioned before, about the revamping the whole image of the Malaysian Airlines. And apparently last Friday, the carrier received its Air Operator Certificate, AOC, from the Department of Civil Aviation, which officially allowed it to take flight as MAB on September 1st. So there will be more flights from Malaysia to outside of Malaysia. So keep an eye on the MAB, and congratulations to the Malaysia Airlines Berhad. So we'll just take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll focus on the political side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. You are with Grace on the ASEAN Dailies. We deliver news from Southeast Asia, and this segment we're focusing on the political side of Southeast Asia. So apparently, there are quite a number of asylum seekers who are transferred to a processing center on the tiny Pacific island of Nauru after arriving in Australia as refugees may be moved again because of endemic sexual assault, rape, and child abuse. And those are the very quite severe cases when it comes to human rights as well. So in an Australian Senate committee report published just a few days ago on Monday recommends the government relocate children and also families from the island after finding this condition is not, of course, not appropriate or safe for detainees due to raft of the serious allegations. So the government should develop the plan for sure, the committee wrote in its latest report, and for the removal of children from the Nauru Regional Processing Center as soon as possible with their families and also where they have them. So these human rights groups condemned the policy, and the serious allegations quickly emerged, including the counts of horrific abuses in the Forgotten Children report by the Australian Human Rights Commission in November last year, and also in the most review in the February 2015. And this is when it comes to human rights and also refugees. Most people are taken in a very misled way, and these are the sort of conditions that they have to live through. And then where are all those eyes or the cares from the government? So definitely it is something the government really needs to look at. And there are not just the growing words issues. Wealthy Australia especially, they can do much more than this. Refugee, when it comes to human rights, it's not the only problem in Australia. There are other problems around the world, such as Germany, and also we have a problem in Southeast Asia, especially in Myanmar. So those are the issues that has been growing for the past few months, and it's something that the whole world needs to look at and also consider, because we are human beings after all, and we need to be taken care of, and we need to help each other, and especially the high authorities, high level people really need to look at this situation seriously and then carry out in an appropriate manner. And then moving on to Cambodia, and this is another issue in Southeast Asia where they do not want to accept more refugees, and they said it not intend to accept any more refugees from South Pacific Detention Center under an arrangement with Australia, dealing a blow to the controversial resettlement scheme criticized by night groups. And this means Australia has vowed to stop asylum seekers sailing from Indonesia as well as Sri Lanka and landing on its shores, instead intercepting all those boats and shifting the people to camps in Papua New Guinea and also Nauru. So we just reported about this asylum seekers coming to Australia. And Australia and Cambodia agreed last September that some refugees from Nauru would be resettled in Cambodia in exchange for Australian aid. But it's just only 4 have arrived since then. So they said they have no plans, according to Cambodian side, to receive more refugees from Nauru. And this is according to Cambodian Interior Ministry spokesman General Q Sofik, he said. Well, there will be sort of outrages coming when it comes to human rights issues, especially preventing refugees from poor conditions and then mistreated behavior and also conditions as well. However, these are the perhaps we need to look at the roots of this problem and then try to solve these immediate problems at this moment. Otherwise, more refugees will flow into other parts of the country, and that will cause even a more serious problem in near future. Well, moving on to the next one. There are some outrages after 3 journalists killed in the Philippines. So these 3 journalists in the Philippines have been shot dead just days apart, and it is according to press group, and as they want a further media bloodshed without serious government actions. So this nation of 100 million people has long been one of the world's most dangerous places for journalists, with powerful figures able to kill critics in the knowledge they will rarely face punishment. And in the Philippines, there were a few cases when it comes to journalism, and they called President-elect Nicol Aquino to give top priority to swiftly resolving these problem cases, and also until Aquino demonstrates his government is serious about this ending the onslaught, the killing will inevitably continue, which is not looking very good, of course, on his Aquino's final months before the elections. And out of the 168 cases of media killings since the restoration of democracy in 1986, and only 13 suspects have been convicted of murder and they sent to jail. Killing journalists or preventing them from reporting about the government or about the whole nation when it comes to Southeast Asia, the whole Southeast Asian countries really need to learn and know how to practice the freedom of speech. There could be certain policies and also laws that they have been already implemented when it comes to expressing oneself. But a journalist, they really want to dig out all this truth and also what information the public need to know, and but this is very fishy, and also it doesn't look really presentable, and also the image is there when it comes to freedom of speech from one country to the other. Well, just a last news commentary before we end our session here. Singapore, a ruling party for the first time, faces election fight for every seat. So, Singaporean PM Liang Liang, ruling People's Action Party, will face the fight from opposition candidates in all 89 parliamentary seats for the first time since independence 50 years ago. And this PAP, co-founded by the Prime Minister's father, the late Lee Kuan Yew, has ruled Singapore since 6 years before independence in 1965. And this party is trying to improve its performance from 2011, when its share of the vote fell due to this unhappiness over the high housing prices and the cost of living and immigration. Since then, the government has introduced these curbs on the foreign workers, and which measures to cool a red-hot property market, and also subsidize the healthcare, cover these elder or older people there. So Singapore will go to the polls on September 11, which will mark a very important day in history. And this is about the future. Vote seriously for the PAP to make sure that they can work together with them for you and for Singapore as well. So this is very important day, and all the Singaporeans, please be wise and considerate when it comes to whole nation situations. So that's it for the political side of the Southeast Asia, but stay tuned. We still have all the news coming from Southeast Asia on economic and business side.
ASEAN Dailies, first and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Rihanna ASEAN. You're listening to ASEAN Dailies. I'm Grace Joe, and we will be delivering news on the economic side of Southeast Asia at this segment. So apparently IMF believes that Indonesia is ready to face economic volatility, apparently. And this is, of course, IMF plays quite a huge part in the Southeast Asia. And then it also decides that Indonesia, perhaps it is ready to face its own economic volatility. So President Joko Widodo said the International Monetary Fund believed certain situations, and that they have the very good preparation for it. And also, the IMF pointed out that the current economic conditions in China as well as the United States will have the unfavorable impact on other countries, including Indonesia. So, well, it asked whether IMF has made suggestions to improve the Indonesian economy, and they said the world body has given its views on the Indonesian economy. And in fact, they did not really talk about the efforts to raise the country's foreign exchange reserves through the capital flows. But a member of the presidential communication team, Teten Matsuki, said that IMF has appointed Indonesia to host the annual meeting in 2018 because they saw that Indonesian economy has been growing quite well. And they talk about the global factors, including US and as well as Chinese economies. And then they saw that Indonesia will be able to deal with these factors. So Indonesia, even though its currency in rupiah is sort of dropping, but it looks like the economic is picking up to boost up its whole nation's economic. And IMF has lauded charged with Jokowi's government for taking two important steps, which are infrastructure development as well as human resources development through education and health programs. Basically, they saw these steps as the most fundamental things, and they believed Indonesia will lay foundation for the development of a good economy, which is pretty good news when it comes to Indonesian economic side. And also we really hope that because Indonesia holds one of the largest populations, that when Indonesia boosts up its economy, it will also benefit a lot more, and when it comes to neighboring countries in Southeast Asia. Well, let's travel to Vietnam now. Apparently, the nation is now pretty hotbed for the venture builders. So it is no secret, to be honest, that the Vietnamese software developers have had impact on the creating apps and also products for the consumers outside of Vietnam. And then they've been hearing, of course, we've been hearing about the Vietnam's gearing up to the next IT and also outsourcing Asian tiger for longer than a few years already. And also, according to Cushman and Wakefield earlier this year, Vietnam became the top destination in the world for the outsourcing for the first time ever. So every day, Western consumers interact with the social media accounts operated by the global brands, resulting in hundreds of millions of pieces of content that are created each month. And somebody has to filter this newly posted content for brand standard, often in real time, of course. But on the other side of the world, the unit of this more than 100 Vietnamese workers at Sept Gear Studios and also an IT outsourcing and software development company in Hanoi, which is Vietnam's capital, goes through the fresh content on the platforms such as Facebook and Instagram, and 24 hours a day. So by using these online platforms, of course, they will be able to approach and also reach out to the bigger populations out there. But then, however, here, the leadership of this and then other Vietnam-based companies are exploring new ways to generate value beyond this purely business process outsourcing. So which means, in other words, some of these companies, they have traditionally fulfilled their outsourcing requirements. They have been setting sightings on developing their own homegrown projects and startups as well. So perhaps we need to look into more startups and as well as the business section when it comes to economic side of Vietnam. So this is quite a bright news when it comes to Southeast Asia. So Vietnam, keep it up. We really look forward to hearing more development and also positive news when it comes to business side of Vietnam. And let's travel back to Myanmar, where Myanmar's new minimum wage, about 35 cents an hour. Don't you think it's too steep for some Chinese-owned factories? Well, after months of negotiations with the labor groups and employers, the government of Myanmar has established a national minimum wage for the first time in the country's troubled history. And the workers will now have to be paid at least, which is about $2.81 at the current exchange rate, or which is 3,600 kyat for the standard 8 hours day. So this works out to roughly 35% an hour. So it will be it takes an effect on the 1st of September already. The companies with fewer than these 15 employees will be exempted from this new law. And also it has taken years to get here, apparently. And the proposal introducing the daily minimum wage received parliamentary approval in 2011. And also the National Minimum Wage Committee announced the amount on August 28. So when it comes to minimum wage, Thailand had, out of these 4 countries, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Vietnam, and Thailand is the highest, which is about 250 US dollars, whereas Bangladesh hit just only about 50, and Vietnam is between 100 and 150, and Myanmar is 50 to 100. So when it comes to the trade groups representing the whole global company sourcing from the Myanmar, they threw their weight behind the new legislation and saying that it would do more to attract foreign investments than that deter it. So we have to look at this fair treatment to employment, and also when it comes to ethical sort of laws and policies, which are very important when it comes to minimum wages in certain factories and also labor industries in Southeast Asia. So that's it for the economic side of Southeast Asia. We'll come back for our news commentary to talk about the social and art culture side of Southeast Asia, so stay tuned.
ASEAN Dailies, first and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You're with Grace at ASEAN Dailies. We deliver news from Southeast Asia. Now, we'll be talking about the social and art culture of Southeast Asia. But we can stay here in Malaysia for a while. So this is a new law, and it is something that we really, really need to practice. So according to the source, that about 50 ringgit will be fined for failing to separate the household garbage at source after September 1st. And according to Urban Wellbeing, Housing and the Local Government Minister Dr. Abdul Rahman Dahlan, second and third time offenders face compounds of 100 ringgit and 200 ringgit respectively. So 7 states are involved in the solid waste separation at source are Federal Territories, Johor, Malacca, Negeri Sembilan, Kedah, Perlis, and Pahang. So he explained that implementation of the regulation was part of the government's effort to reduce this transmission of solid waste to landfills, and also that the dissemination of information and the brochures pertaining solid waste separation at source had already begun as early as March this year. And also it was hoped that with this implementation of the solid waste separation at source, people would adapt to practice recycling in their daily lives. This is very important. As most of developed nations have been already practicing this exercise by separating the trash, which will be very significant when it comes to the wastage, and also to know what can be recycled and what can be not recycled. And this is something that all those nations need to be educated on. So from September 1st, we all really need to put an eye on how to separate our trash, not just put them all together, but after all, really keep an eye on to it. Well, according to Malaysia, apparently Malaysian squash queen Nicol has she always had the number 1 reign. It ended after the record 9 years. This girl, the Nicol David, finally relinquished her number 1 spot to Egypt's Ranil El-Welili. And in the latest world rankings released on Tuesday, Nicol tallied just the 2,853, 1.5 points to fall behind the Ranims, which is 2019, 978.75 in total. So it is actually the second time in Nicol's career that she has fallen from the top spot. And she was number 1 in January 2006, but only held it for about 3 months before losing it to Holland's Vanessa Atkinson. So when it comes to Malaysian pride, well, she's been holding for the 9 years. And also she knew that she needed time. So she spent the proper quality time with the friends and family back in Penang. Liang, and she has regained her hunger and drive back to the best form. So it's time that she sort of needs to look back and also rebuild and then retrain herself to be at the top spot again. And she's competing the China Open, which starts in Shanghai on Tuesday. And as for the Malaysians in the world's ranking list, Low Win Warren is still at number 9, and she has been out of the action with an anterior cruciate ligament injury since April. But it is of course a big jump for Delia Arnold, who shot 5 rugs to number 12 for the best ever ranking. Well, moving on to the next news, Liang Liang and also the cub to be given the weekly health checks. So this panda, the female giant panda and also her cubs, will be isolated once a week to assess their health, and it's very important to sustain the population of panda worldwide. And Giant Panda Conservation Center, Zoology, and also Veterinary Director Dr. Matt Naim Romley said this will be done depending on the condition of Liang Liang and also the cubs. So they plan to isolate them every weekend. And also, but we need to observe this mother's temperament first before separating them. So they had been momentarily isolated twice before the August 22nd and 29th, and these both attempts were done very successfully within 2 minutes, so they hope to subsequent isolation will be successful. So these two the isolations, doctors said it was observed that the cub's physical appearance had changed, with the black spots emerging on the several parts of the body, but he had yet to open his eyes. So these two these cute cubs and also the mother Liang Liang hope that they can maintain their healthy conditions and to be able to produce even more pandas to sustain the populations. So that's it for our news on Wednesday morning. So keep us updated if you have any feedbacks and also comments on Southeast Asia. But then look out for Drian ASEAN or social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. But do visit us or our website, drianasean.com.